The Federal Court today in Abuja ordered the immediate remand of human rights activist and AAC presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore in Kuje prison. Mr. Peter Obi is asking President Tinubu to follow the direction in which the Prime Minister of the UK, Keir Starmer, followed by resigning over what he termed as governance failure. Hello everyone, welcome to the program and thank you for joining in. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Wakimbale for you here in our Abuja studio. Let's begin by what became a dramatic twist and scenario which played out around the courtroom today, where Justice Mohammed Umar of the Federal High Court in Abuja ordered the remand of Omoyele Sowore, the presidential candidate of the African Action Congress in Kuje Correctional Center. In a short ruling, Justice Umar ordered Sowore to be kept in the Correctional Center pending the hearing and determination of his motion for stay of the order for revocation of his bail and bench warrant. Justice Umar also dismissed Sowore's earlier application seeking the judge's recusal from the case on the ground of alleged bias. The judge subsequently adjourned the matter to the 24th of June for hearing for the application for stay. However, the scene became rowdy when officials of the DSS were to take Mr. Sowore to custody. The scene had gotten intense earlier when Mr. Sowore and some of his supporters were trying to gain entrance into the courtroom.
Look at what they are doing. Look at what they are doing. Look at what they are doing in the courtroom. Look at what they are doing in the courtroom. Look at what they are doing in the courtroom. Look at what they are doing in the courtroom. Do you want to shoot us? 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 DSS, do you want to kill us? Do you want to kill us? Shameless people. Shameless people. Shameless idiot. More go down. Shameless people. Shameless idiot. Shameless people. Shameless people. Stupid people. Amemo, go down. Stupid people. Stupid people. Animal.
I had his views about the situation surrounding that trial. Let me allow you to listen to what he had to say.
The court was told by the prosecutors that they must insist on sending me to Kuje prison until Wednesday. But guess what? I'm prepared. I brought my prison bag with me today, and I told the judge, who said he can't recuse himself, that when they are ready, I'm outside. Nobody should be surprised. I have predicted before now that all these things are going to happen. But they are happening for a good reason. And the reason is that somebody must make the sacrifice that will liberate this country. Kwame Nkrumah was sent to prison for insulting colonial masters in Ghana. The day he came out of prison was the day he became the president of the Federal Republic of Ghana. I am going to prison to keep mobilizing our people so that this country can be liberated.
We have so much stories to tell you on the program tonight. But before we continue, let's serve you some of your political roundup stories.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has declared Mr. Danladi Mvulu Anza of the All Progressives Congress as the winner of the Nasarawa North Senatorial District by-election. Announcing the results, the returning officer, Professor Aminu Ali, says Mr. Nvulu Anza secured the highest number of valid votes cast, polling 45,362 votes to emerge victorious. Former Minister of Information, Mr. Labaran Maku of the Labour Party, polled 12,931 votes, while the candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Emmanuel Ombugadu, polled 11,570 votes. The Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has declared Rabiu Aiki of the All Progressives Congress APC as the winner of the Zuru constituency by-election for Kebbi State House of Assembly. Announcing the results at the Coalition Center, the returning officer, Professor Mohammed Bashar of the Federal University Birnin Kebbi, says Mr. Aiki polled 4,871 votes to defeat Aliyu Mohammed of the Labour Party, who secured 168 votes. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been commended for his commitment to strengthening Nigeria's democratic institutions through electoral reforms, institutional independence, and good governance. The commendation came from the Arewa Revival Project in a statement signed by its project coordinator, Mr. Mutaka Ahmed Ibrahim, following the successful conduct of the Ekiti State Governorship election and recent national and state assembly by-elections. The group also praised INEC for organizing what it described as peaceful, transparent, and credible polls. The national leadership of the All Progressives Congress has been called upon to initiate peaceful reconciliation between all governorship aspirants in Kwara State to support the emerged candidate in order to have a crisis-free and eventual victory for the party in the state. The coordinator of Kwara Central Prominent Youth, Abdul Majib Abdul Fatai, gave the advice while addressing journalists in Ilorin. He says this is not the time for crisis, but building of the party for victory for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and other candidates being fielded by the party.
Thank you so much. There you have it. You've been served with your political roundup stories. So let's tell you about Mr. Peter Obi, who is asking that President Bola Tinubu should follow what the British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has done. The presidential candidate of the Nigerian Democratic Congress (NDC) is calling on President Tinubu to resign over what he termed as, quote, monumental failure in governance. Mr. Obi says he was inspired to reflect on political accountability after listening to the resignation speech of Mr. Keir Starmer, the British Prime Minister, who announced plans to step down amid public dissatisfaction over economic challenges and unmet campaign promises. The former governor of Anambra State says Nigeria's current situation mirrors the criticisms Tinubu leveled against former President Goodluck Jonathan before the 2015 elections. According to the NDC presidential candidate, he said Tinubu repeatedly called on Jonathan to resign over insecurity and economic hardship, including during the aftermath of the 2014 Chibok girls' school abduction. Tonight on the program, we take a closer look at the state of the nation through the lens of faith, governance, and leadership, as Nigerians continue to grapple with insecurity, economic pressures, and questions about the direction of the country. What role should religious leaders play in shaping public discourse and holding government accountable? Joining us tonight on the program is a former president of the Christian Association of Nigeria and former national president of the Pentecostal Fellowship of Nigeria, Pastor Ayo Urishe Jafo. He's going to be sharing his views about the state of the nation and the way forward for our country. Papa, it's a pleasure having you tonight on the program.
Thank you so very much. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much indeed. Yeah. It's been a long time. You were very quiet for a long time.
Yes, I intentionally stayed away.
Why?
Because in 2014, I tried to warn this nation of the direction it was going. I would say it plain. When the Buhari government was getting ready to come in, I knew that it was going to be a mess. And I think from there, I don't know what to call where we are now, but it has grown worse. And it has gotten to a point where I feel I have to say something. I must begin to say something because I pastor people. They are human beings. They are Nigerians. And we must begin to hold people accountable for what's happening.
You were a huge supporter of Goodluck Jonathan.
Yes.
And there are those who will say, oh, it's because Goodluck Jonathan lost the election, so you were sulking, or you were not happy, or you went quiet just because of that.
No.
But does that presupposes that you are also complicit in some way of keeping quiet when it suits you, or you speak when it suits you and you keep quiet when it doesn't?
No, not quite. Because, like I said, I kept quiet because, you see, sometimes when you talk to people, when you try to make them understand that, look, what is happening and what's going to happen, it's going to be terrible. And you try and you try and you try, and then no one seems to be listening. The best thing is to withdraw, because you can't force people to listen to you. You can't force people to take your advice. You can't force people to follow what you're saying. So I decided to step aside. Well, like I said, I've watched the events, just from one level to another until we got to where we are now. And I think this is the time for me to begin to say something.
So you kept quiet, you warned, and you saw that. What exactly did you see when you were warning from 2014? Because Jonathan was in office at the time.
Yes.
Did you fear that Jonathan was going to lose the election at the time?
That wasn't really my fear. My fear was, if for any reason Buhari came in, then Nigeria was in for a big problem. Because, look, let's be honest. This man, he's late, was, in my own opinion, a jihadist. A man who believed in very violent ways. His mentality was a mentality of everything Islam or nothing else. He had no place for embracing other religions peacefully and accepting them. He had people like, was he called Katami or somebody that worked with him? These were sworn jihadists. These were people who were ready to do anything. And these were the
extremists or
him.
jihadists, you mean? I mean,
extremists.
Jihadists could be, they are fighters. They are extremist fighters. There's there are those who are, you're a Christian clergy. You're a clergy and you believe strongly in your faith. There are those who are of the other faith who would say they believe strongly in their faith. Would you hold a grudge against them because they hold strongly about the faith?
No, I don't hold a grudge against them because they hold strongly to their faith. I hold a grudge against them because they are ready to take their faith to any level, and that includes planning and plotting for people to be killed, for people to die.
These are heavy allegations
you're making
about there are those who will say, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, who is a pastor of the Redeemed Church, was advised to the late President Buhari.
Yes.
Would your assertion be correct to have called the late President Buhari an extremist?
Well, the fact that a Christian was his vice doesn't change who he was.
That's your own perception of Buhari, isn't it?
Well, you may call it my own perception. But I, for example, I listened to a tape by the gentleman whose name I mentioned a while ago. That is an incident that happened in Jos. And some of the things he was saying in that tape were frightening to me. I mean, it got to the point where he was even crying and weeping and telling the people that they must not allow Christians to do this or do that, And when I say jihadist, look, a jihadist is an extremist. Now, a jihadist, you can be a jihadist with your pen. You can be a jihadist in so many different ways. It's not just those who carry a gun. You can be a jihadist by doing everything to make sure nobody else, no other religion has any place in the governance or in the progress of a nation. Well, you mentioned Shibanjo a while ago. What was his role? What was he really doing? for the 8 years that he was there. Well, I thank God for him. He's out of that place. But you should ask him, what was he doing? How many times did he join to make certain decisions that the government made? And did he help them to go in the direction that they went? Well, he's the only one who can answer that. I can't answer it for him. But from what I saw, what I observed, and what I had known from the past, it showed me that we were in for trouble.
So when you hear, and permit me, I did a little bit because I followed my background of where growing up, I followed my younger friends when we were little to Quranic school. And I picked a bit of Arabic understanding. And you hear al-jihad, fi sabilillah. And I was curious to find that. And they said the meaning of jihad is also schooling in the Lorry. I was in school at a moment where that was sometimes seldom. We hear that when there is a struggle within the school and people are fighting about faith, the meaning is just a striving for your faith. And when you hear al-jihad is about striving for the cause of Allah, those are the meaning. And when you say that was what Abu Buhari, for example, represented, and you had a President Bola Tinubu who had a running mate. There are a lot of people criticized as a Muslim ticket, and there is also a narrative being played around about how Christians are marginalized, or there is an attempt to subjugate or to wipe out people of some faith. And all of those narratives, dangerous as it may be, but are they true? Would you say in Nigeria, and you've seen it all, you've headed Pentecostal PFN, you've headed CAN before, would you say truthfully that Christians are being deliberately attacked and they go after Christians deliberately in this country?
You better believe it. That is the truth.
Are you sure?
Oh, I'm very sure.
And you have evidence to this?
Well,
that Christians are deliberately being killed?
There are many. We can't go through all of them. For example, look at what happened in Kwara State. I mean, it was streamed live. They were shooting at people inside the church. And I think 2 people were killed. The pastor and a few others were kidnapped or abducted, taken out of the place. And what do you call that? That is wild. That is unbecoming.
Are you worried as a Christian leader that your faith is under attack?
Oh, I'm definitely. That's part of why I decided it was time for me to speak up. It was time for me to speak out.
What do you think the pattern looks like?
Well, we see it happening again, like I said, every day. Look at what happened somewhere. I think it was your state, somewhere around Ogbomoso, somewhere. Now, children as young as 2 years old, 3 years old, they were abducted with their teachers, pregnant women. All kinds of people were taken into the forest. Only God knows what is going on with them now, right now, as we speak. Only God knows.
What do you attribute that to?
Oh, that is definitely jihad. That is extremism. That is.
You don't think it's criminality?
Well, okay, that is the right word. That's the English word.
You don't think it's insurgency?
Oh, listen.
Terrorism.
Put it all together. You are still saying the same thing.
Because I'm also trying to be careful. Maybe because I grew up in a very complex and a very what would I say? I grew up in the midst of Muslims. I'm a Christian, born of a Christian parent, and I know how to assimilate and how to take on any person of any faith. I've had my grandparents who are idol worshippers. I don't really care. My faith is my faith, and I talk about my faith if I have the opportunity to. But as sensitive and as complex as our nation is, ethnic-wise, religious-wise, tribal-wise, we've got to be careful not to divide our nation. And that's why I'm asking you deliberately. Well, if you have facts to the fact that this is religious in nature, and you are an elder statesman by all means.
By the grace
and
of
this
God.
age, you say things because you know them for sure and for certain.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I am very
that
sure.
There is a
deliberate move to subjugate and to make sure that Christians don't stand up tall and be what they are. Look, let's start with something you said that is a reality that we're living with today. Muslim ticket. Now, in a country where, let's go by what everybody says, you have 50% Christian, you have 50% Muslims. Now you have a Muslim ticket. How did we come about that? Let me ask you a question. Can you bring up Christian ticket in this Nigeria in which we live today? Do you think such a thing is possible?
Well, Muslim.
I'm
so much aware at the time that I don't think anybody give a damn about that.
Well,
why should we
when
do
you
now?
say nobody gave a damn about that at that point, remember that Christians are taught in a way, in a sense, which I think is a little bit extreme, to be laid back. You know, they just believe in people and follow people. There's something in Arabic that you know. There's this word that is when you translate it, it means deception. Forgotten the word is in Arabic. Okay. It means deception. What that means is many times when some of these people talk to you, what they intend or what they have in their heart, what they would want to do is completely different from what they are telling you. So, look, I saw that in a lot of people. I was camp president for 6 years. I came across all kinds of people. And I'm not saying that there are no Muslims who are reasonable, who can reason with you, who have the right attitude to life. Yeah, there are some like that.
Are you saying that Nigerians, no matter what, capacity, performance...
I'm coming, that word is takia.
Okay.
Takia. That's the word.
That's the word you were looking for.
That's the word I was looking for.
So I'm saying that in politics, should we bother about where anybody comes from? Because, you know, you were accused that you supported Jonathan because he's from the Niger Delta. Same as you, the region where you're from.
Well, I was accused of that, but nobody took the time to sit with me like this and ask me questions. We discuss it and we look at it.
Was that the reason why you were supporting Jonathan?
Because no, definitely not.
Was an man from the Niger Delta, South?
For your information, I'm an Ishekiri man.
From the South?
From the South. Yeah. But as an Ishekiri man, Ishekiris generally have their roots in the Southwest, in Yoruba land. You know, so it's like a Yoruba man being in the South. So, but that had nothing to do with it. The point was this: Jonathan, many times, most of the time, I wouldn't say all the time, but most of the time, he listened. When some of us would sit him down and tell him, look, this thing you are doing is wrong. Stop. He would listen and do something about it. Look, there are things that are not proper for me to sit here and say to the whole world. But he listened. And that was, you know, we had a meeting with him. And something very surprising happened to some of the Christian leaders that were with me, especially the prelate or primate of the Methodist Church. He was very surprised when he discovered I didn't have Jonathan's number. He couldn't believe it. He had to ask Jonathan right there in the meeting. And the man said, yes, I didn't have it, but that he could give it to me, he will give it to me later. But I can tell you, I wouldn't want to mention names, of people of the other faith, of many other beliefs, who had his phone numbers. They had his number. But I didn't have his number. I didn't really care about having his number.
Because there are a lot of things that were said about you and Jonathan. You remember the story about your plane that was found in South Africa, monies found on it. There are a lot of questions that have been asked about that. Have you really explained what happened? Because there are a lot of things. Well, as a clergy, you know what that meant.
Yeah, I know. I tried to explain that as much as I could to those who were prepared to listen. Now, the truth is this. I had no idea of what happened. Because now, when you have a plane to maintain that plane cost a lot of money. So what I did was I leased it to a gentleman here in Abuja who had the plane with him. So I didn't know what he did with the plane, who he hired it to, or who rented the plane or whatever. I didn't know. I had no idea. I was in the hotel when someone called me and said, your plane, there is a problem with your plane. I said, my plane? How? What happened? Then they told me that the plane was used to take money to South Africa to buy arms or something. You know, those were the things that they told me. That was how I found out about it, because I didn't know.
Because your closeness, it was suspicious and it was suspect that you were close to Jonathan.
Well,
and that you were working, you were hand in gloves with the government of the day, and money laundering was going on. Your plane was being used to ferry money, and a lot of story.
Well,
and because you had a church, because you are a pastor, a lot of people thought that was rather unbecoming.
Well, like I said, I just explained to you. It will be up to you. Former President Jonathan is still alive. I think you can ask him. Dansuki was his NSA at that time. I think you can ask him. They are still alive. Find out from them if I knew anything, because I didn't know. I had no single idea.
Your tenure as CAN president coincided with the rise of Boko Haram. And in 2012, you warned government to use all available resources, and I quote your words now, to stop terrorism. More than a decade later, Nigeria is still battling killings, kidnappings, and mass abductions.
Yes.
Is it that the government failed to listen then, or has the religious leadership also failed to sustain pressure for accountability? The things that you saw at the time, are they still valid right now?
I think they are even more valid now than then. I warned seriously, and I told the then president, Jonathan, I would think he did the best he could, because I discovered that some nations, somebody with a lot of influence had, these are things I found out later, that this person had contacted nations like Israel, like the UK, like France, and all these nations, not to sell arms to him. How do you fight insurgency without ammunition, without guns, without bullets, without things? So he had nobody, nowhere, no nation to go to buy these things. This is something that I discovered then. Now, I also found out that he warned the then governor and a few others not to let those girls stay in that place to do the exam they had to do, that they should move them to Maiduguri, which they didn't do. They left them there. And that was what happened. That's how those girls were abducted. That's what happened. Now, if you look at what is happening now, the impunity is so high. At that time, Boko Haram was a little bit, I would say, a little bit not as strong as this. They were a little bit more careful. But, for example, America did not want to declare it a terrorist organization. I went to the Congress in America, and I spoke at the Congress there in America, and I said to them, these people are terrorists. Now, some of these leading Americans twisted it, and what they said was Shekau, or whatever was his name, was a terrorist. But the organization was not a terrorist organization. I mean, that never made sense to me. How could the leader be a terrorist while the organization was not a terrorist organization?
You did not agree that Boko Haram was driven by religious ideology. I mean, you argued that Boko Haram rather was driven by religious ideology, not poverty.
Yeah.
You don't agree. But now, insecurity has expanded into banditry, kidnapping, farmer-herder violence, separatist agitation, organized criminality. Do you still see Nigeria's security crisis primarily through a religious lens, or has the country misdiagnosed the problem for too long?
No. It is still religious. highly.
Even with the tendency of poverty and all of that criminality around
leave that tendency. I mean, from what we see on television, you see these kidnappers, people who have paid them, would I say billions? You see them, they arrange the money.
But they attack mosques too.
Well, let me put it this way. Who attacks mosques? They are Muslims. Muslims attack mosques. All right? Not Christians. Have you ever heard of Christians attacking any mosque? Have you ever heard of one? It has never happened. Because that is not the way we live. Are you now telling me that poverty was just is just a situation with Muslims? So Christians are not poor? A lot of Christians are struggling to survive. I'm a pastor. Just last Sunday, I know how many people's house rent I had to pay. I know how many people's children's school fees I had to pay for. So Christians are just as poor as Muslims are. So you cannot. So it's not poverty.
Have you reminisced on your support for Jonathan at the time? Because they called him clueless. There are those who thought that he didn't know what he was doing.
Where are those people now? Are they not the same people today who are in power? People who called him clueless? Clueless, but they wouldn't allow him to do the things he needed to do? Clueless? At that time, they protested against him all over the place, in Lagos especially, and across the country. They were protesting against this man that was clueless. Now, the people who sponsored all those protests, who did a lot of all those things, many of them are the people in power today. So now they have the clue. But look at where Nigeria is now.
Do you regret supporting Jonathan at the time?
No, I don't.
Are you happy that he's probably going to be on the ballot now?
Well, that's another thing altogether. I have not met him. I would have loved for him to explain to me why and how he's going to be on the ballot. I have no idea. So I cannot answer what I don't know.
Would you take the blame as a leader of faith in this country?
Yes.
Perhaps because of some of your silence and some of your colleagues who have kept mute in the face of the wrongs that have gone wrong that have happened in our country for too long. Why have some of you kept quiet? Because you are leaders, not minding whether you're a faith leader or a governance leader. You lead people. Do you accept complicity in keeping quiet, you and some of your colleagues who are leading the herds, especially in the Christian faith?
To be honest with you, I would say it is wrong. We ought to have spoken out a lot more, a lot earlier. That is why I would say today that at least I'm happy that I'm speaking out. This is not the first time. I've done it twice. Before this is the third time now that I'm coming out publicly to say something. I think it's very important that people, whether you are of faith or you are not of faith, really doesn't matter. Just like you said, we are Nigerians. And where God has placed some of us, we have the capacity to say things that people will listen to and believe and probably be able to work with. Even those who are in government, they would listen. At least some would. You see, so I think it was quite...
How do you describe the situation of the country today? Nigeria
is in a mess. Nigeria is in a big mess and in big trouble. I don't want to... Well, I think I would just say it. I fear for Nigeria. Because if there was any time that Nigeria was divided, I think it's right now. We are not together as a people. And this is dangerous. And part of the problem still boils down to this insecurity issue. And when you look at insecurity in Nigeria today, I will tell you that 99.9% of those who are practicing and making this thing thrive are Muslims, not Christians.
Would that be right, though?
Very, very wrong.
You could be wrong.
Oh, you mean myself?
Yes.
Wrong? No, I don't think. I don't believe I'm wrong. I'm very right. I'm surprised that you even say that because you are a Nigerian. You're here. You should see it because it's obvious They
that the
are the ones.
perpetrators of killings, abductions,
They are the ones doing it.
they are of one faith.
They're of one faith.
You're speaking the language of Donald Trump.
Well,
There's that narrative of a global narrative of the American tendency that Nigeria is drifting towards a religious insensitive state.
well,
Could that be the right thing to say, though?
I believe it's the right thing to say, because that's what I see with my eyes. That's what's happening every day. Again, I go back to your Muslim ticket. Muslim ticket gives a very bad impression of Nigeria. Because if we go by what they say, I don't quite believe it, but let's accept it.
America
50%.
president and his vice, Vance and Donald Trump, are of the same faith.
Well, how
And
many
America is multi-faith.
Well, let's put it this way. How many Muslims do you have in America? It's almost less than 0.0 whatever percent.
I don't know if that figure, I might check, but
Yeah, you can check.
Yeah.
It is almost nothing when you compare it with a country that has almost 300 million people. So that I would say is the reason. If you go to the Senate, for example, you go to the House of Rep, you will see Muslims there because they were able to. Look, the largest and probably the most important city in America today is New York City. Who is the mayor? He's a Muslim. He's a Muslim. That's to show you how tolerant they are. He's a Muslim. So when you say Vance and Trump are of the same faith, we have not seen any Muslim come out to say he wants to run for president. That's a different thing. So basically today, America is probably over 90%, 99.9% Christian. That's what America is. Those who are not Christian are probably atheists that you will find in America. So I don't think there is any basis for comparison at all.
I like to go on a break, but before I go, many Nigerians will say the church has become powerful in prayer, but weak in public accountability. Quick to organize crusades, but slower to confront corruption, bad governance, and electoral manipulation in our country. That they are onlookers in speaking truth to power. Is the Nigerian church too afraid to speak truth to power loudly enough, or too afraid to lose followership or patronage?
Well, I'm here today. So if I were afraid, I won't be sitting here talking to you now. So you can look at people like me and say, it's not quite the way you're looking at it. There are some of us who are not afraid because we know we should speak truth to power. And that's exactly what we're doing. I know we've spent some time talking about some of this, but there are so many issues that if we had the time, we ought to have looked into. For example, something must be done about about schools, about hospitals, about roads, and about a lot of things. Now, for example, if I were in a position, I would say that there should be laws. I don't know who will make those laws, because today, those who are in the Senate, what they just do, they rubber stamp anything that comes. They don't really make laws. I don't know the kind of laws they make. But my point is this: anybody who is an official, a government official, or head of a parastatal, or even could be anyone that has anything to do with governance, permanent secretary, whatever, should not, with their family, go abroad for treatment. They should go to the same hospital where the poor people are struggling to get their treatment. They should not go abroad not only to get treatment. They should not go abroad for anything, like their children going there to go to school, for example. They shouldn't go to school there. They should go to the same school here.
Enjoy or suffer the same
treatment that
the average person
is going through. And I think if they go through that, that may motivate them to do something about the kind of life.
The problems.
The problems are too many.
I mean, if you describe the situation of Nigeria at the moment as a messy situation,
yes,
would you blame the government of the day for that?
Yeah, I do.
Really?
I do. Now,
because the government will say they met what is.
No. This is not what they met. It's worse now. What was the rate of exchange before they came in?
But there are multiple windows. They said they collapsed it.
They collapse what? You collapse it to make it worse? Is that how you collapse it? What are you collapsing? What are you collapsing?
Would you say that the lives of the average person is worsened?
Oh, it's worsened. It's very,
from
very,
where this government
very bad.
met it.
Oh, my! I tell you.
But the government of the day will tell you that, look, whatever we are doing right now is a temporary pain. The relief and the gains are coming.
Well, that sounds beautiful. But the problem is, these people who are leading or who are those governing today live a different life from the average Nigerian. Now, if you tell me to be patient and you bring yourself to my level, we are suffering together, we're going through whatever I'm going through together, then I can understand. But when you are living a different kind of life, you earn, I don't know, the senators earn, I don't know, almost 50 million or how many million a month. Those in House of Rep 30-something million a month. And then the average Nigerian cannot even, sometimes cannot have food to eat. They can't eat. Look, it is too bad. Look at the electricity, for example. Now, because there is there's almost no electricity, you know, what amuses me is sometimes in Nigeria, we change the names. It was ECN to NEPA to PHCN to what is it now? I don't know. They've given it so many names. I don't know. Do we really believe that once we change the name, then it improves or what happens? No. In fact, it's getting worse every day. So look at electricity. When you look at the barber, you look at the hairdresser, you look at the average, medium-sized, low-income entrepreneurs, they have to go and buy generator. These small generators cost probably 300,000 or more. They buy that, then they have to buy the fuel to put into it to run it. Where is their profit? They have no profit. But the people governing them are living a different kind of life, where, I mean, some of them travel with hundreds of people at the same time, and they have to pay the bills for all these people. And they live a different life. That's what I'm trying to say. If they live the same life with the people they are governing, with the people they are telling to bear a little bit, then it can make sense. We can all bear it together. That will be fine. But it's not so.
Give me a moment, sir.
Yes.
Still ahead on the program, everyone. After the break, Pastor Ayo Orishe Ejafo, a former PFN and a former CAN president, speaking on the Nigeria's future security challenges, governance under the Tinubu government, and the choices facing Nigerians in 2027. Stay with us. We'll be right back for more. Thanks so much, everyone. Welcome back to the program. I've been speaking with a former president of the Christian Association of Nigeria and former president of the Pentecost Christian Fellowship, Pastor Ayo Orishe Ejafo. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight on the program.
Thank you.
You heard what happened in the UK, where Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister in the UK, says he's going to be resigning, and there's going to be a transition period between now and September when he leaves office, and there's going to be a change of baton. Now, Mr. Peter Obi, the candidate of the NDC, is asking President Tinubu to also resign and follow suit. Because according to Mr. Obi, he says President Tinubu he accuses him of bad governance. Do you agree with Mr. Peter Obi on that?
Well, I wouldn't say that I would 100% agree with him. But to a large extent, I do. Because when you look at the condition of this nation today, instead of going forward, we seem to be going backwards. Instead of solving our problems, we seem to be creating more problems. It's the government of Mr. President has done more harm to this nation than this nation has ever experienced. For all that, I agree with Peter Obi. But I would not sit here categorically and tell him, resign. But I think what I would say to him is, look, don't pretend to know what to do when you don't know what to do. Don't pretend that you can take Nigeria out of where it is now when you know you can't, and begin to plan to come back again. Listen, in one of the programs I did, I was mentioning, I said, look, I hear people say renewed hope. You must have hope first before you renew it. The average Nigerian today has no hope, except if you say you look up to God to give you hope. So I will leave President Tinubu to make that choice for himself. One thing I can say categorically is that, look, don't begin to dream of coming back to continue this same mess.
You don't think he should contest, or you don't think that, or if he wins again, he should do better? What exactly?
I don't think he can do better than this.
You think this is the best?
This is the best he can do. I don't see him doing better than this.
From your own, years of experience, and you think that if the president goes to the polls today, because his party says he will win landslide, and his party has been winning, they've been winning off-cycle elections, the APC have been winning it.
Sean, please, let's be very honest with ourselves. The truth is that elections in Nigeria are not free and fair. We have I would call it fake elections. In fact, I will even go as far as calling it selection, not election. Because when you look at the whole setup, the way everything is put together, begin with INEC chairman to those that go to the wards and everything, you will see that it is set up in such a way, it's set up to fail. Does the vote of the average Nigerian count?
What do you think? Does it
It doesn't. It doesn't count, because they already know. They have figured out what exactly they are going to do. They know whom they want to win.
So you think that the whole system is already skewed?
Completely.
So what will an average, if you think that the whole process is skewed,
Yes.
but we're working from answers to question, what then, are the average person left with any choice?
Choice in what sense?
So if it's predetermined, so what does the average person, if you say that election is selection, it means that you go to vote, your vote will not count.
Honestly,
what option is left for the average person?
There's no option. Honestly,
so the only average option, Nigerian is hopeless.
Hopeless. That's the point. Because the only option would be not to vote. But I find it difficult to sit here and give that advice and say, don't go and vote. Probably you should go and vote, at least for the sake of putting your mark on it that I voted. You understand? I will go and vote myself. You see, because I'm a Nigerian. So it's okay to go and vote.
But do you fear what the trajectory we are going to? What is the implication?
Well, I don't use the word fear, but I am troubled, seriously troubled, because, again, like I said, the decisions have been made for who is going to be who is going to win what.
You think that President Tinubu is going to win in 2027?
Well, that is the plan. But you see, fortunately for me, I am a clergyman. I believe in God. So I believe that there is God who has a final say. What he wants us to do is to do what I am doing now. We do the things that we can do.
Yeah.
And the things we can't do, he will have to do.
Let me ask you, are you been able to, because there are a few of you who are highly respected within the Christian faith, mentioned your like and the likes of Pastor Bishop David Oyedepo,
Yes.
The General Overseer of the Redeemed Christian Church of God, highly revered Pastor Adeboye.
Yes.
And I mean, are you able to come together to help salvage or speak truth to power, or whatever you think is going wrong? Are you hopeful of helping out?
That's a very, very...
Because the voices of the people of faith should not be drowned in the moment of trouble.
Well,
and a moment of despair for a nation.
I don't...
You cannot keep quiet, can you?
No, I can't.
Are you able to speak to some of your colleagues in the Christian faith?
You want me to be honest with you?
Please, sir.
I have already started speaking to some of them. And hopefully, very soon, by the grace of God, hopefully, I use the word hopefully, we will be able to come together and stand out and speak truth to power and do what we are supposed to do, because it's what we are supposed to do.
All right.
I respect them, all of them, but I don't want to make any comments more than that.
Okay.
But only to say I have already started.
But you don't look united, though.
Well, again, it's very hard for me to comment on that. I think we can be more united than what we are.
I have 30 seconds to go. And my final question to you will be, if you were to sit face to face with President Bola Tinubu, and imagine he's right there across the camera, what would you be telling him about Nigeria? Is it safer today? Fairer and more hopeful under his watch? Or would you tell him that the country is still drifting dangerously and needs urgent moral and political reset before 2027? What exactly would you say to the president?
Well, I would
if you have to say it in 30 seconds.
Yes, I would say to him, Mr. President, you have failed. You have not done well at all. So right now, do what you know you must do to either step aside, don't go and stand for an election, or you look for people who have the capacity to bring change to Nigeria.
All right. We'll have to leave it at that.
Yeah.
Pastor Ayo Orishe Jafo, former PFN, former CAN president, many thanks so much indeed for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thanks.
Well, that's our show for tonight. Everyone, many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Wakimbale. God bless Nigeria.